Hi, I'm Francis Hellier, and welcome to my podcast, Metaverse. This is a podcast for the future-minded, a series for anyone on the hunt for the next big thing and all its possibilities and implications. With each episode, I will chat to those at the top of their fields, from futurists in crypto and space travel to forecasters in business and tech. Together we'll ask the question, what's next? Today I'm joined by cousins Dov and Sam Falic, co-founders of BlockBar, the world's first direct-to-consumer NFT marketplace for wines and spirits. BlockBar connects the consumers and collectors with stockists, offering buyers the opportunity to trade NFTs in return for unique drinks products. In their first year of business, they've worked with global brands like Glenfiddich, Hennessy and PATRÓN. Dov, Sam, this is definitely an area of my interest, so it's great, fantastic to have you on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you for taking the time today.
Oh, my pleasure. Absolutely. So first of all, Dov, I believe you grew up in Panama, and Sam, you grew up in Miami.
Yes.
As cousins, did you see, much of each other, and when did you first start to realize you could enter entrepreneurship together?
First of all, we were like brothers almost. A lot of trips back and forth. It's only a 2.5-hour flight. A lot of weekends in Miami and a lot of weekends in Panama.
Yeah. Also, Dov actually was born in Miami, so he moved over to Panama when he was 8 years old. Dov, 10?
10.
Yeah, but we spent all our times together. We're actually a group of 4 cousins. We founded the company together, but we grew up together a lot like brothers. A lot of a lot of watching movies, playing pranks, playing sports. It was nonstop. Dov is the oldest cousin, and I'm the youngest.
Okay, so let's kind of go back to the very beginning. Why wines and spirits, and why did you think that was a good business opportunity on the blockchain?
So I'll start with with why wines and spirits. Our family business is duty free America. So we have around 200 duty free stores, mostly in the Americas, and that ranges. And we've obviously wines and spirits is a big piece of our business. And we build those relationships throughout the years. I mean, it's really, our fathers are the ones who started the business. They built these relationships for so many years with the wine and spirits companies. And we just saw it as a great opportunity to enter the NFT world. Actually, how it started, I'll let Sam tell you the story of how it started, but it was literally a weekend on the beach in Panama of how we merged NFT world with the wine and spirits world.
Dov is being a little bit modest. First of all, he's the commercial director for spirits of Duty Free Americas. We have a very large distribution network of spirits in Latin America. We're one of the largest distributors in Colombia and various other countries that Dov could tell you. And Dov also helped spearhead the largest e-commerce delivery platform for spirits in Singapore. Now, it was about 1.5 years ago when I went to go visit Dov and his father Leon in Panama. And I was fascinated with this whole NFT craze that was going on, and I was trying to explain it to them. And a lot, like many people who hear it for the first time, they seem very skeptical. And when we looked at the space, it's such a fascinating and incredible technology, but at the same time, it's very difficult for someone to get started. Meaning you have to set up an account on an exchange, then you need to set up a wallet, then you need to go on a website you've never used before, buy art from an artist you've never heard of before, even if you like art. And then ultimately, and then you have to pay in crypto where there's not a lot of customer service if something happens. So initially our goal was, why don't we utilize our existing businesses to try and use NFTs to solve an actual problem in the industry, and also to sell NFTs directly from luxury brands and find a way for consumers to pay in credit card. Now, when we looked at a lot of the crypto projects coming out at the time, and again, I don't want to take away from what anyone has done, a lot of them seemed very marketing oriented, meaning it seemed a lot like a marketing play. So our goal from the start was to utilize the technology to solve an actual problem in the industry. And through Dov and his father's experience in the spirits industry, as incredible as spirits are, we did identify various obstacles that did seem to be directly solved using non-fungible tokens.
So Dov and Sam, can you explain to our listeners exactly how this works? Because I think that what's difficult to sort of comprehend is what is it you're actually adding to your incredible family success over the years. What's the play here? What's the difference here between what you've done historically as a family?
Yeah. So first of all, when you look at the spirits industry, there are various obstacles, as I mentioned. So number one is access, where if you wanted to buy a high-end bottle of wine or a high-end bottle of spirits, you wouldn't even know where to go. Meaning you're not going to go to the liquor store. You can't get in touch directly with the brand. You'd probably have to go through an auction house if you've ever been there before. Then number two, if you actually buy that bottle, you have to worry about storing it in the proper temperature, worry about someone accidentally coming to your house and knocking it over or taking a sip and opening it. If you move to a new country, you have to worry about transporting it. It's very difficult to get insurance on it. And then ultimately, let's say that you decide to sell it, because high-end spirits and high-end wine have actually outperformed gold in the S&P 500 as an investment. So you decide to sell it. Where are you going to sell it? Everyone says it's this incredible investment that you could sell, but it's very difficult to actually go ahead and sell it. Anywhere you go, you're going to have to prove authenticity. And the hard truth in the industry that people kind of dance around is that it's very, very, very difficult to authenticate a bottle of spirits or wine, specifically the liquid inside. So you can try and authenticate the bottle on the outside, but the liquid inside, there's always going to be a question of doubt. So we looked at this opportunity. We said, there is an interesting way to do this with non-fungible tokens. So essentially what we do at BlockBar is we sell NFTs directly from luxury brands. Each NFT is tied to a physical product that we store in our facility in Singapore. Then the consumers get the NFT and they have the ability to resell it on the platform or on OpenSea, gift it to anybody across the entire world, or at any point burn the NFT and redeem the physical product. And the real difference maker here of what we're doing is each one of the NFT ties to a physical product, but also we do this in collaboration with high-end brands. So we don't deal with any distributors. We don't deal with any retailers. We don't deal with any current collectors. Every product listed on our platform comes directly from the brand that you're reading about. So it really is a direct-to-consumer experience. You're creating a relationship directly with the brand if you opt into it. And the brand is going to consistently offer you exclusive content, exclusive access, various different things. But yeah, so it really does solve a lot of the problems and a lot of the barriers in the industry.
So if my dad wants to buy a bottle of whiskey from you guys, how does he go about doing it?
So it's actually very easy. And we used our experiences from—
Not that I will encourage him, just to point that
out. No. Well, we use our experiences from the e-com world to try and make it as seamless as possible. So our products are listed for the suggested retail price. So it's the same price that you would find it somewhere else. If anything, it's a little bit cheaper because it didn't go through all of those intermediaries and all of those middlemen. The product is listed directly from the brand. A consumer comes in, they see the product, they click buy. They have the option to either buy it via credit card, wire transfer, or Ethereum. And then once they buy that product, the consumer has the ability to redeem the product immediately, which then seems like a very regular e-commerce experience. Or now they have the added benefit to opt in to have it stored by professionals and have the product delivered on demand.
So if we take this back a step, obviously you have family history in this space. How did you come across this idea? How did you imagine it? What was it about NFTs and Metaverse and everything else that you thought was the way forward going through your plans, et cetera, et cetera?
I think the two main issues that we saw in high-end spirits and wine is, one is authenticity, which Sam mentioned, and the other one is access. So those are the two things. And the two things that NFTs really solve are proof of ownership and proof of authenticity, which are two very big issues in the wine and spirits world. I think one of the things that makes spirits and wine so collectible is the fact that you can recreate this stuff. These are bottles that have been placed in barrels 30, 40 years ago, or wine that you can recreate a vintage of wine from a certain year because of you're in France, the terroir, the way it works. So these are actually collectibles that you can't just recreate. It's not, and there are so many collectibles that are moving into the NFT space. I think that one of the great things about wine and spirits is that you just can't recreate it. It's very collectible, but it has this issue of authenticity and proof of ownership. One of the other issues with wine and spirits is that because of regulation, you just can't trade it. If you're, you can buy a watch today and you could put it on a platform and trade it. You could buy sneakers today, you could put it on a platform and trade it. Wine and spirits, you need a liquor license to transact, to have any legal transactions. So what we do here is we give you the ability to be able to transact in an NFT that does correspond to a physical bottle, but you're only trading that art piece onwards. And then eventually when someone applies for redemption, they can then source that bottle. But here you can trade this NFT that corresponds to the bottle all around the world, which you couldn't do before. I mean, the way to do it in the past is, you get these certain very hard to get items, either in a high-end duty-free store or at an auction house, and then you have to store it in your house, and then you can send it back to an auction house, and they can maybe sell it for you. But it just becomes very difficult. What NFTs does, the way we're doing it does, it just simplifies the whole process for everyone.
So with BlockBar, with BlockBar, are you looking to get more investment, or you're fine where you are? What's the plan going forward?
The plan going forward is, so we're not really looking for investors. We're trying to, we don't want any added pressure to, perform, get 20x back on your investment, and get out. Our goal from the beginning was to solve an actual problem for consumers and for the brand owners. So again, our goal is to continue to have exclusive drops, really open up the door for high-end spirits and wine investing and collecting to the world. Right now, when you think of someone who invests in high-end spirits or wine, or someone who collects high-end spirits and wine, you think of a kind of an older demographic. And right now, when you think of people who collect NFTs, you think of primarily a younger demographic. So our goal is really to create a product, and we feel like we've done a good job so far, that speaks to each generation, each age generation. So this is a product where boomers, millennials, and Gen Z alike all understand it. We're kind of introducing Gen Z to collecting high-end spirits and wine, and introducing boomers into the world of NFTs.
I think that's a really interesting point, Sam, isn't it? It's about the fact that as we hurtle towards the metaverse, as we're looking at blockchain and all these different things that come with it, it's very much tended to the younger generation. And you're absolutely right to isolate the fact that this is the collection of liquor, for example, or fine wines tends to be people in their older years collecting up art or anything else. Can you see a model where what you're building now can be applied to other industries as well? So we're talking about liquor in this instance, or wine. What about art and everything else? And is that something you want to pursue going forward?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that the use case of BlockBar is applicable to many different industries. One thing that's unique about BlockBar is that storing high-end wine and storing high-end spirits is very difficult, and you run the risk of ruining your collectible altogether. There's a book called The Billionaire's Vinegar, where it was the most expensive bottle of wine ever sold, stored improperly, where even if it's authentic, the entire investment could go bad. But I think that the use case could be very well used in different industries. We just think that, for high-end spirits and high-end wine, it really is a perfect use case. Like you said, we're entering into a new technological age where everybody wants to own cool things, but there really is no need for you to store those things in your house anymore. Especially when people are on the move, people are working remote, people are traveling more. This is just a way, NFTs are just a way to, have that collection go around with you and it be mobile. Now, if it's tied to a physical asset, even better. If it's in a facility that it's going to be stored better than you storing it in your house, amazing. So I do think that the use case is amazing for multiple different industries, including art, fashion, any sort of collectible. But our primary focus right now is to focus on high-end wine and high-end spirits, just because that's where our background is. And that's where we feel we're solving a very big obstacle for consumers.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If I buy an NFT it's attached to a nice bottle of whiskey, I'm definitely more inclined to buy it. Is there a certain on that point? In fact, is there a certain type of drink that seems more popular than others on your platform? I know to you, the companies we mentioned at the outset tend to be sort of whiskey companies. Is it primarily a wine-based idea, or is it more around liquor?
Well, it's still pretty early. We've done 10 releases so far. Our goal is to have a release every 2 weeks for our first year in business. As you said, whiskey has been predominantly strong on our website because it's such a strong collectible. But we also released a tequila. We have plans to release a vodka. We released a wine already. And I think that the use case for wine is really incredible just because, again, the risk that you have storing the wine in your house is so great that I think that once wine companies realize, BlockBar is really solving a problem. It is helping us capture this younger demographic. It is making collecting and investing much easier. I think that everything is going to line up into place, and we have a lot of good brands on board.
Can you talk a little bit more about the security of the product as well?
Yeah, Dov, why don't you go a little bit into why we chose Singapore?
Yeah, the security of the product is we store this product in a warehouse in Singapore. And the reason we chose Singapore is because it's really one of the safest places in the world to store anything. The product is stored in bond, so not subject to tax. It's stored in a facility that's 24/7 cameras, no access to people. It's really made to store fine wine, fine whiskey, and art. So that's really why we chose location. We were scouting, we were scouting different locations in the world of what's the best place, and we decided on Singapore.
And have you come across any issues in terms of jurisdiction, etc., in terms of what you're trying to achieve?
Well, one thing that's really interesting is right now, if you live in a region where you're not allowed to import spirits, you're kind of limited. You can't really start a collection. This is a way for people who live in those geographical regions to really own a bottle without physically having it in their jurisdiction. And we offer the capability to pick up your collection in Singapore or in any of our duty-free locations. So it is a really interesting opportunity for people who have restrictions for importing alcohol to really own a bottle overseas.
Now, Sam, you said in a recent interview that BlockBar is democratizing the traditional spirits industry, and allowing everyone anywhere in the world to participate. Can you explain how the platform actually makes that possible?
Yeah, well, again, as I said, there are geographical restrictions to where we can actually ship the product, but there's no geographical restriction to the internet. So because everything is online and utilizing, cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and the internet, you're able to basically own the asset wherever you are. And as I said, traditionally, when you think of someone who's collecting spirits, it does tend to skew a bit older. To date, 86% of our traffic has been ages 25 to 34. So we are really democratizing that. And Dov, tell them about the McAllen boutique.
Yeah, so one of the things that we made us understand about, why this would make sense is because we have a McAllen boutique in New York, in JFK, and you have a lot of exclusive collectibles that you can't get anywhere else except in a McAllen boutique. People are emailing us, calling us, sending us their credit cards to try to get access to those bottles, but they're simply just not traveling at that moment in time. So what happens is somebody is willing to pay even more for that bottle, but they're just not traveling, whether it's COVID restrictions or any other restriction. They're not traveling at that moment in time. So they lose out on that bottle. Somebody else buys that bottle, stores it in their house, maybe forgets about it. The brand doesn't know who owns the bottle anymore, and there might be somebody else that's willing to pay a higher price for it because they want that bottle for any particular reason. It just, that collection goes away. So we feel that we're democratizing that. More people will have access to this, whether you could buy it on the drop or not. You can always see if it's in the marketplace where it is, whether it was redeemed or not. You always have, also like a second chance.
Yeah, it's right now you kind of have to be in the right place at the right time to get the right bottle. Whereas now, you could do everything from the comfort of your living room.
No, I think that's really exciting. And I think that also you guys have kind of isolated a need and a problem, and you've used the technology that exists today to kind of nail it, as it were. And I think I want to explore a little bit further about where you see this expanding. We touched on it already, but where do you see this expanding as a concept, as an idea around physical ownership of a product that may have an NFT attached to it? Where are we going to go with this going forward? What does the metaverse look like, in your view, in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the use case for NFTs and the metaverse is something that right now seems a little bit scary to a lot of people. And again, our goal at BlockBar is to kind of make that a little bit more digestible, a little bit more accessible, specifically because we allow fiat as payment and also because it does tie to physical products. Right now, there's a lot of skepticism around NFTs, but I think that in a couple of years, NFTs are going to be a very regular part of every industry. So, when we spoke about, what's the use case of this, the use case of this is infinite. The technology, although it's maybe misunderstood, is a pretty simple technology, and it is very efficient at proving ownership and proving authenticity. And any asset that you have, any collectible that you have, ultimately, you're going to want to prove that you are the rightful owner, and you're going to want to prove that it's authentic. So I think that the use case is really infinite. I think in the years to come, it's going to be a very regular piece of everyone's lives. Dov and I joke that one day maybe the word NFT is even going to be obsolete just because it's going to be such a regular part of everyone's interactions.
I think that's right. I think that's absolutely right. What do you guys hope that the future will hold for BlockBar over the next few years?
I think we really want to expand the wine and spirits collectible market, democratize it, really for more people to understand it. For us, we still see this as very early stage, that the whole market is very undervalued. What people pay today for certain things versus what you're willing to pay for, a high-aged bottle of whiskey, that's been aged with history, with vineyards or distilleries that have been there for hundreds of years. The product is aged, for decades. And again, it's what you pay for that versus what you pay for something else. It's still, even though it sounds expensive sometimes, the history you're buying is almost impossible to get in any other industry. So really, we want to expand that, bring more people to it to understand this incredible world, and just bring awareness and education. And on the other side, I think a lot of education into the NFT world.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also education on the NFT world and also into the world of high-end spirits and high-end wine, just because it's an asset that not many people really think about. And it's kind of an asset that has been reserved for certain classes of individuals. So our goal is to really open up that door and open up that possibility for high-end spirits investing and collecting. And like Dov said, it does have to do a lot with education. I always joke that if we could speak directly with, one or two consumers, ultimately it's a no-brainer because you're buying an asset for the suggested retail price and you don't even have to worry about storing it. That, I don't want to say for sure, but for the most part, if you sit on it for a couple of years, the value is going to go up, or you're going to be able to enjoy the product that you're purchasing. So, a lot of the barriers of high-end spirits and high-end wine is access or storage, where we feel like we're really solving that problem. So now it's more about educating consumers into this world.
I love the fact that you guys are cousins, and it's so wonderful to hear this story. I mean, are there problems with that relationship, or is it just plain sailing? What are the things that drive you crazy sometimes?
Well, there's definitely nothing that drives us crazy. I always say that my real claim to fame is nothing to do with BlockBar. It's just the fact that Dov is my cousin. Everything is incredible so far. We're four cousins who started this venture together. And everyone says, how did you come up with it? Really, we were just in a WhatsApp group chat talking about this world, trying to figure out exactly how to enter it. But it's been, incredible thus far. I imagine it's going to be incredible for a long time. For us, there's nothing like working with family, with our cousins, with my father, with my uncles. It's been an incredible relationship. And one of the things is just that, that unlimited trust. For me, I hope I never have to worry about, them doing anything.
I want to be your cousin. Come on. Come on, I can join the family.
We do need some cousins in the UK region, so we'll let you know.
There you go. I'll sign up for that. And as for you two, what does the future hold aside from BlockBar? What does the future hold for you guys?
I think we're going to continue at it with BlockBar. Keep trying to grow this and really drive this model. I think asset-backed NFTs are going to grow. Into many different, like Sam said, it's going to be everywhere. Whether it's with BlockBar through Wine and Spirits or other platforms, we can talk about. You can collect watches now. Nike's doing something on their own. So I think asset-backed NFTs are really going to be the next big thing, and we're excited for it. That's what we're really gearing up for.
You've nailed it. You are at the cutting edge of a very exciting space. The fact that you're tying NFTs with real world product and this is going so well for you is fantastic. And however this pans out, we'd love to have you back on in a year or so's time and see how that journey is going and how it's progressing. And
yeah, well, next time let's try to do it in person. Dov and I are in the UK all the time.
Well, we'll be cousins by then.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. It's been really interesting. I wish you all the best for your project, and it sounds fantastic and really inspirational in terms of, like I say, tying together something that is kind of esoteric with something in the real world that needs that sort of level of fungibility, as it were. So it's really wonderful. So thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us, Francis.
Thank you. You've been listening to Metaverse with me, Francis Hellier. Thank you to my guests, Dov and Sam Falic, for a fantastic conversation. Do tweet us at MetaversePod with any suggestions or feedback. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please do share a link on social media. You can sign up to receive an email when a new episode drops at our website, metaverse.fm.